Hey guys, what's going on?
How's it going, Sheets?
What's happening?
Not much. Just had a bad night last night. Ready? I really enjoyed watching that. I'm very impressed by that. I mean, obviously Buffalo is crazy, but I'm very impressed by what Hurts is able to do, and I was very impressed by the Eagles last night.
Well, I would like to say that I'm the last person to brag. I'm not like a bragger person.
Oh, you nailed it. Let's talk about it.
But I'd like to say that I had two takes that I said 4 different times yesterday. Was my big takes. Number 1 was 0 Derrick Henry, and number 2 Irv Smith. Those are literally the two takes.
Yeah.
And Irv Smith got there on the last drive, I think, and got me to first place in the I chopped with one other person in the 222.
Can we see the screenshot? This is awesome, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see it. Let's see the look.
I hope it's still up there. Let's see.
It's hard to win these freaking tournaments, man.
Yeah.
So you chopped with one person, so it wasn't the 222 100K for first. It was the 222 20K for first.
I guess. Well, I guess 17,500. Let me see. I'll pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah.
I think it was some 222.
I think it was the second 222.
It was a showdown.
Yeah. Oh, it was the showdown one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was a showdown.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
I mean, what a night for showdowns in general. That was
I did I played the big buy-in in both showdown slates, and I cashed in both, and yeah, that was I'm gonna find it now. Now I can't find it. It's in the screenshot of the Discord, but hang on.
That's all right. I like I missed it in the Discord for some reason. I didn't notice it before.
Yeah,
I was looking for it last night. Oh, I think I was in. You know what I think my problem was? I was looking for it probably in the MLB just from habit.
It's not there anymore. But let me find it.
Oh, I got it.
It's in the NFL. It's right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So and then you had Devontae Smith, who you liked. That was your tip of AJ Brown, which worked out beautifully. And the fact that Irv Smith was
6%
is crazy to me
in a showdown.
I know. And Thielen got there late because he had. Yeah. I mean, I was like, "What happened?"
I was already in first though. Like when I got down to the end, that last drive, all I needed was no Jefferson touchdown, and I was in. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
The Thielen just made me and the guy I was tied with win by a little bit more. But yeah, that was Irv got like one catch or so on that garbage time drive, and I was in first, and then like when it was funny when I was in first, and then what's his name threw an interception to the Eagles, and the guy with the Eagles defense got eclipsed me. So then I needed the ball back again, and thankfully got the ball back, and Irv got it back for me.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
I'm so happy for you. It's awesome. I mean, really, you did this is what we talk about on our site. Like we want to be transparent about what we're doing. Yeah. You said all of these things. Yeah. You literally preached it all, and you nailed it. I mean, it's great when it works out, and you do everything you say you're going to do.
So I'll tell you what I'm doing tonight. I'm doing something I don't usually do.
It's a great. This is like an unbelievable slate to me.
So you're probably going to win those. I am chalk freaking city with the pitching, and then just hoping I get the right combination of the hitting.
Okay.
So I went with the Castillo Morton, and then but as far as hitting goes, I'm kind of I got some different teams. Like I do have some San Francisco, but I got Minnesota. I have the Yankees. Those are my 5-mans are mostly Minnesota and the Yankees actually.
Yeah.
And I actually have a couple. God help me, I have a couple of Detroits. And I'm not really that heavy on any one team. I'm really just kind of hoping that that when I lock in the the pitchers, and I have enough combinations elsewhere, I just kind of get there. I do have some Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to be a little over-owned, but
I think they're looking lower owned than I thought they'd be.
Oh, you
right?
You are?
Well, I just thought like everybody would be 10% or so. Like they're the natural team I thought people would go to. I mean, you have a pitcher with a high walk rate, a high home run rate, who this team is completely crushed. And these are no slouches. They're playing for something. You don't have to worry about them. This is, we'll get into it. But as we end the season, we have to be aware of things happening, like the Dodgers pulling Trey Turner out of a 5-1 game earlier today.
Right.
You know what I mean? For teams that don't matter. But for teams that do matter, like Atlanta, it also is one thing I want to touch on from last night that I was frustrated about. I felt really good about my Scherzer takes. What I felt really bad about was that, like I said, I think in limited pitches he could dominate against this team. I think he was the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, and he threw 68 pitches, and he had a perfect game, and they pulled him. I think if that game was 1-0, they leave him in. If it was 5-0, I honestly think that they just let's win the game and keep him preserved or whatever. They need to win this division.
I got last in baseball. I got like
but I want to bring it up as something
because I played a bunch of the Wells, and
yeah. Well, this is what we have to keep an eye out for. I mean, young pitchers whose teams don't have as much to play for. If they get hit early, they're going to be out of the game. It's funny because with Scherzer last night, I just don't understand how that happened. I honestly can't picture, just knowing Max Scherzer from his history, I can't imagine how he let them come. I didn't see it. I didn't know what happened when they took him out. But you have a perfect game on 68 pitches through 6 innings. That's a really weird thing coming back when you really pitched like 15 days ago and you threw another simulated game with 60. I just don't understand why he couldn't throw more. I don't understand why they did that.
Well, like you said, I mean, it's modern baseball. Like you said in your tweet or wherever it was, like modern baseball is just the way it is,
It's just it's frustrating though to me because it's I think that they're doing a disservice to these players, and I really do. I think that like you're playing for legacy at some point for guys like Scherzer and Kershaw, who had the perfect game going through 8 innings or whatever, or 7 innings with 80 pitches to start the season, and they pulled them out. These are things these pitchers have never done before. Give them a chance at least. I don't know. It's frustrating, but with something we have to keep an eye out for. It's a general argument for not paying up for pitching, actually, in general, like if there's not the super stud aces. But tonight, because of the ownership, it's going to be so heavily focused on Morton and Castillo, which I'm totally good with. I think those guys are both solid. I'm a little surprised Cortez is as popular as he is, but I think those two guys are like, the easy, obvious plays. And in my big buy-in, that's what I got right now. The other guys you're looking at are it's really grim. That's why it's like it's probably one of the worst pitching 11-game slates that I've ever seen, because for Castillo to ever be 65% owned is kind of weird on his 11-game slate. And for Morton to be 40% owned, he's got a range of outcomes with his style. He was Mr. Consistent. He's been a little bit all over the place. And then Cortez getting 20% ownership. I do think Sandoval, and I think that Dylan Cease is, even against Cleveland, like if you just want to try and win the position, that's probably the best thing to do, is to try to play Dylan Cease. And I'm doing it on FanDuel quite a bit. But I mean, Clevenger and all these other guys, I mean, Tyler Anderson is probably more in play just because he's a really good pitcher than he should be. But I like the idea of getting weird with it and playing like some Carrasco, and we'll get into value and stuff, but I like some Carrasco and Cease builds because I think you're just going to be off the board enough with your pitching. And there's so many value bats you could even stack. This is one time you're not going to get Coors too popular. And I do have Coors further down the list. I don't particularly love the Giants. I actually like the Rockies a lot better, but the pricing is kind of tempting to go there just because if I can play those two pitchers, I'm already off the board with my pitching combination. And I think you have a chance at being.
Wait, why? Who do you have in pitching? I didn't get to the conclusion.
Well, the main thing is Castillo and Morton are my main guys, but I like the idea of getting different and playing Cease with Carrasco.
Cease and Carrasco, okay.
Like it's you go ultimate upside. You know what I mean? Castillo and Morton both have the same upside, but you go ultimate upside. Well, I guess nobody has a higher one than Cease probably, but I think it's just like weird enough to where that kind of build could work. But I also like a lot of stacks today because I think the pitching is so suspect in every spot. Castillo seems like that's why Castillo and Morton against weak teams seem like the obvious plays. But if they just get you 20 something, it's not like you're looking at them going, these guys are going to get me 40 tonight, So why worry too much about the pitching in the large field stuff? And then also maybe take the safety in the small field stuff because there's so many stacks you can get off the board with, even within popular stacks. They just aren't popular enough. Like Atlanta is not popular enough, in my opinion. And that's something I'll definitely take advantage of while Atlanta's at home. I especially like the Matt Olson. Matt Olson, basically for his career, has identical numbers at home, lefty versus lefty.
Oh, is that right?
ISO wise. Not necessarily overall hitting, just I mean, not batting average, but his ISO is I think 7 percentage points different out of which is nothing. It's like 255 to 248 or something like that.
And that's amazing, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because like Rizzo. I mean, they're facing a righty tonight, but Rizzo is another one of those guys. He's got like a 320. His ISO is I think like 80 points higher against lefties than it is against righties. These are like things we should look out for. And it's funny because it's a big slate that I feel like is playing kind of small, but I like a bunch of stacks. Like I like Atlanta a ton. I like both sides of KC and Minnesota. I like KC actually better than Minnesota, to be honest with you. But I don't like necessarily a full stack. Those are like my fit. I like the 2 and 3 mans as a complementary stack because Greinke is just efficient enough, doesn't walk enough guys to where it's okay not to stack against him. And Bundy is just reasonable enough to give up some home runs and pitch 5 innings and give up 3 runs or something like that. So I like them. I try to get the power side of each side of that game. But I personally have my pitching is sort of spreading out a little bit, except for in my high buy-in small field. I'm going to stick with the chalk. And I really like the Yankees as well. I think the Dodgers are going to be crazy, drastically underowned.
Well, let's get that lineup again, huh?
Yeah, and how about another take though I have on that? I would be lying if I said I don't have some, and we're not going to get the lineup, which is going to make them lower owned even. But I do have some of the Dre Jameson against the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to ask you. I mean,
isn't that like the sharp thing to do? Like if we're speculating on a lineup and you're playing some Dodger lineup, shouldn't you then be playing the pitcher against them who just put up 28 in his first game against a good team that was playing for a lot?
Well, here's the thing. We actually had, I think you were out. We had him in his last start at 4K in this chat.
He put up 28.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why is and this is actually a pretty good take. I forget where I heard this, but he was pitching in basically Coors in the minor leagues. This Reno field, apparently, like the combination of the altitude and the whatever, it's like actually a huge park upgrade for him, like coming to the major leagues.
Right.
So he, and that didn't get a lot of publicity or whatever. But if you get a really shitty Dodger lineup, then yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. But obviously, I'm not pitching him against their good one.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't even mind taking a shot or two on the good one because I feel like he can get to, the Dodgers can still score 6 or 7 runs tonight, partly off the bullpen. He can throw 5 innings, give up 1 or 2 runs, and
5 strikeouts,
fantasy points with a chance for 20 if it's whatever kind of line, you know what I mean? And also, like that's what scares me about playing the Dodgers tonight. But I just think that's what everyone else is not going to do either, though. And when you actually, I think that matters to them from everything I hear. I've done a lot of research today because I had to catch up on stuff. But everything that you hear from all the Dodger things is this team seriously wants to break the Dodger win record. That's a big deal. They've been around for 100 and whatever years. They actually have it. I mean, theoretically coming into today, they had a chance to have the most, they still do actually have a chance to have the most wins of any team in history. That's an incredible achievement. So I'm not saying they're gunning for it, but this team.
I don't know if they're not going to let their guys get freaking perfect games. You think they're going to gun for a
no, but they do. That's what they do with their pitching anyway, and it works well because they've got guys in the bullpen who can handle it. But my point is that they're gonna play. There's a doubleheader today, so it changes things a little bit. But overall, I think that they are playing to win their games. You know what I mean? And they had a lot of opportunities last night that was a little frustrating. They didn't quite get there because that Gallo hit that bar. Did you see that ball Gallo hit?
No.
It's about as far as you can hit a ball at Dodger Stadium without going.
Oh, really?
Only been 2 players in the history of baseball have hit a home run out of Dodger Stadium, and he almost did it.
Wow.
And that's been since 1962, so it's pretty crazy. Anyway, so I'm very high. I posted my name on here as the stacks that I like in the order that I like them: Braves, Yankees, Rockies, Dodgers. That's my favorite actual raw stacks. And I really like both sides of the Minnesota KC game, but I'm using it mostly as complementary stacks. So that's basically what I'm doing today.
See any questions here? Just nothing really.
What's up to my man Eric? It's good to see you back. Thanks for welcoming me back. It's good to see everybody in here. Pop in some questions and some thoughts on tonight's slate, and give Sheets a little shout out of congratulations and like the video and all that stuff.
Yeah. So are you on schedule for? We'll do both baseball and football tomorrow.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. And if we have time, it's a weird. Actually, we can't do it quite yet tomorrow. So just get a little heads up if any of you are playing the golf stuff. the President's Cup. Here's the real thing that you have to do if you play it. So there are only 24 golfers, and it's captain mode or whatever. The key to that whole deal is trying to find the guys that'll play all five matches, and essentially you can't really play any lineup until you know the pairings for the first day, and those come out at like 3:00 Eastern time tomorrow, and you'll see, like, if you look at like the live odds and like some of the sports books, whatever, on some of these guys, like you'll see some violent movements one way or the other, given what the pairings are released. It's going to be too early to do anything when we're recording anyway. But what I'll try to do at some point tomorrow, before tomorrow night, if I can figure it out, I'll come up with some takes or something of how to approach it. I'm probably going to try to play it. I'll encourage all you guys to watch Rick Rungood's free video on it, because it really explains how that whole slate works, much better really than I could. But as far as golf, we're not going to do a preview because there's literally nothing to do until you know the pairings. That's not going to be the 3 p.m. So we'll do baseball and we'll do football tomorrow.
Yeah. Not an ideal golf season. I just hate this whole thing, man. I hate the live thing. Oh. I hate it all. I think that it's really,
I think it's healthy.
I don't. I think that the PGA sucks, but like I don't think it's ever good for a sport when the best players aren't playing against the best players.
Well, no, right. But I think overall it's healthy. Like, meaning like to proof of this. You know what I mean? Like the NFL, when they dealt with the USFL stuff, they dealt with the XFL stuff, whatever. Everybody folded, and but I think it was overall a healthy experiment to see, just to test, to test the strength of the tour, to test the strength of the industry, and quite honestly, I think that the Live Tour is going to amount to literally zero, and it'll probably fold within a couple of years, and then, you know what I mean? I really think in the end of the day, the PGA would be better for it, But yeah, right now to see some guys not playing is obviously bad for the fans. I mean, that's definitely true.
I can see that reverse to where it actually becomes the main tour because of the amount of money. It's just the money that people are making, like in 3 matches, and Pat Perez never finished better than the top half of the field.
Right.
He made more money than he did in his entire career.
Right.
On the PGA Tour.
Right. And that is the difference. The difference is that the XFL and USFL didn't have the money.
Right. That's the weird part about this. The Live is the one with the money. Right. Basically, it's going on reputation and the fact that Tiger is out there and outspoken and saying, hey, this is wrong to the PGA and all this stuff, because it's obviously treated him well. But for the players, I can't blame them.
But if the product loses money for the owners over the, you know what I mean, for too long, they're going to get rid of it. I mean, like.
You think so?
Well, what? Just you think those investors are just more like, we're just gonna eat losses forever, just try to prove a point? I mean, I don't know.
This is not my take. I don't want to make a judgment about a stereotype of people or something, but I think that it's really messed up when you get people who literally are killing people for being gay, and like it just sends a bigger wrong message about. I don't know. I wouldn't be in business with the Saudi government and all those people. Right. All that money, but at the same time, if you're going to make the money, I mean, like, I understand why everybody's doing it. It's just gross to me. I always just like the best players against the best players.
Well, it was an interesting thing, I don't want to stray too much, but we have a little time and there's not that questions anyway. So, it was a really interesting thing. I couldn't quite grasp it. Do you ever Matt Berkey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not well.
Yeah, so I remember him for a long time from poker or whatever, and he has a really, really great website and podcast or whatever. He's a really, really, really super sharp. In any case, they were talking about who is it? Ebony Kenny. They were talking about, I think it was Ebony Kenny, and the idea that the Ebony Kenny and others and Mormon they took money from this guy for Triton, who apparently this guy has like a really bad reputation or something like that. But whatever it is, the seminal question was, are you a bad person, but are you sending the wrong message if you take a free buy-in or take money from a company that's associated with stuff that you like morally don't believe in? You know what I mean? Like Like if the guy that's in charge of Triton, for example, if that's who it is, you know, I think Guy something, whatever. If he's like a whatchamacallit, a misogynist or whatever it is, and you're a female, for example, that like is like, you know, has these very strong views, you know, on very strong feminist views or whatever, strong views, and you then take money from a site that's run by a guy who believes in the exact opposite. Are you selling out or you're selling short or whatever? And the argument was an interesting one. It was like, no, it's not the same thing as, you know, just because the site itself is run by a guy that's like that. It's, you know, I wouldn't blame the person for taking the money. It was a weird take, and the
whole Joey Weissman thing. Yeah, I watched Joe Ingram. I think. Sorry, I meant that.
Oh, I didn't watch that part of it, but it was an interesting take to separate, you know, the taking money from the site or taking money from the person. I don't know. It was a weird thing. So yeah, I agree. I personally like wouldn't take money from, you know, accept money from Live because of their associations with everything I don't believe in, pretty much.
And there are certain competitor websites that you know I have this personal issue with, and it's not necessarily they see it as a horrible issue, but I see their point of view as being something that I would relate to Nazi Germany at the time of what was happening. And I don't want to, you know, again, I don't want to get way carried away on this, but it is a real question, but it doesn't mean you're wrong to do it either. Like if that benefits your family and you go further, look at the players playing.
Well, maybe you are wrong to do it.
No, I won't do it. I'm not saying someone else is wrong to do it.
Right.
So like the players for the Suns, Chris Paul is the most outspoken. He's very pro everything that Robert Sarver doesn't represent as the owner of the Suns, who's now suspended for a year, can't go to the games, which is a nothing penalty for 347 incidents they had to review. That's actually an interesting one, because there was a whole podcast I listened to about this that on the Ringer, like that was an hour long, and it's pretty amazing the disgusting stuff this man has done. It's worse than stuff Donald Sterling did by a long shot. And on top of it, he's a terrible owner. He just happens to be lucky right now. But are the Suns wrong for playing games? I mean, Chris Paul organized the whole thing where they didn't wear their jerseys and they did the boycott together. But then you're playing now for a guy who is basically the worst. He's worse than that. Anyway, it's just an interesting thing to think about, but I don't think there's like a direct answer.
You know, the other thing, while you, and listen, this is totally not relevant, but only because you brought up another site. I did also want to, one of these days, I am going to freaking call out actual site names for not stupid takes, but just for bad content. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And just like bad, like there was one site that was talking today about the slate, and they were going through, and they're like, I like this, I like this, I like this. And as far as the hitting goes, yeah, San Francisco, yeah, I mean, you know, they're going to be chalky, but what's not to like? They're in a great park. They're against a terrible pitcher, and this. And I'm like, why would you? I mean, it's like just lazy to say that. Not even that. Forget the fact that they're wrong. Like Kyle Freeland is like the last person I'd want to freaking like call out as like a bad pitcher. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look, they're in course, so they're going to project. Well, okay, but don't just pile on. Look, they're in a bad park. They're against a terrible pitcher. I'm like, excuse me. You know what I mean? Like it's just lazy. It's unless maybe I do that sometimes. I don't know. It's lazy content. If you want to know the truth, that's all I have to say.
I agree with everything you're saying, and it's really interesting because, like Kyle Freeland, of course he's going to get hit sometimes. He pitches at Coors. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen. But if you have a pitcher that's made to pitch in these situations, and we've seen it happen over and over again, it's Kyle Freeland. Like this guy actually is capable of minimalizing damage. It's sort of the same thing with Herman Marquis before, when no one wanted to play him the year he almost won the Cy Young. That other guy going way back the year he won the Cy Young for the Rockies. I can't even remember his name right now, who became, you know, terrible for other teams later. But like overall, yeah, Kyle Freeland's home run to inning ratio are.
There's a guy who won the Cy Young for the Rockies.
Yeah, what's his name?
Wow.
But like he had like a 2.1 ERA too. It was like he just crushed it for the whole year. It was the let me just look it up real quick.
Yeah,
we have throwing questions or thoughts if you want to. We're just going to keep chatting if not.
Yeah, it's Ubaldo Jimenez.
Ubaldo Jimenez, right?
Yeah,
and yeah, it's pretty amazing that you can do that in that stadium.
That is amazing.
0.67. It was worse. It was a worse ERA than I thought, but still he won the Cy Young.
And he was a starter and everything.
Yeah, he was a starter.
So weird.
He was amazing for that season, and he had a couple other freak games, freak seasons or whatever. He had a little bit of the his results would skew very similarly to guys like Robbie Ray.
Okay.
And previously the pitcher formerly known as Pat Corbin. When Pat Corbin was not on his whole craziness and has become like literally statistically the worst pitcher like in the history of baseball, in modern baseball. He used to be that same guy. You might get 12 strikeouts against the best team in baseball and 1 hit through 7 innings, or you might give up 7 runs in the first inning and not get an out. That was a little bit Jimenez, but he had it on his side that year. And he also became like at some point the worst pitcher. Like it's really weird that we're playing like the thing is like Austin Voth getting on, and I like Austin Voth. That's feels wrong to have him high owned. So I just maybe it's an argument for like, do you get different with your pitching or do you even need to today? And my answer in all of these smaller I'm playing 1 big buy-in on DraftKings, I'm playing 4 on FanDuel. And my argument is I don't see any pitcher having that kind of a game logically tonight, but they very well have the opportunity to. But in reality, a pitcher even getting 30 is not going to win you a slate unless it's a guy who is just unowned. A Tyler Anderson who's 7% owned. Play Mike Clevenger who's 6% owned. Play Carlos Carrasco. Play Cole Reagans. Play mix in your pitchers at your other lineups in your large field, because there is no reason that at least 2 of these guys won't be right there with Castillo and Morton by the end of the day, or at least within a few points. And you differentiate your lineup and you save money. That's my.
The other thing I will mention is that Austin Voth is a righty against the Tigers, and the Tigers coming off a 12-run performance. I mean, this Voth's got to be a good play. I mean,
I'm playing him some. You know what I mean? But it doesn't feel like ideal. I don't love that. In my bigger buy-ins that I am going with that sort of a build more, because I can't marry myself to any of these other plays. But I can say that what I'm doing in all of my large field stuff is I am playing the Carrascos, I'm playing the Clevengers, the Tyler Andersons. That's my way of, giant field tournaments. Those guys could all end up being the highest scoring pitcher on the slate might be just someone you would never expect tonight. Because there's just not, other than, Castillo and Morton, but even that, like, even if you get to 30, which is awesome, like, are we sure that our guys at 20 can't win us the slate if we can get Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and a full Atlanta stack to win all the money? You know what I mean?
You think Justin Herbert's going to play this week?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that game if he does. By the way, that would be.
Yeah, I didn't look. I was about to start downloading my first sets of projections, so we'll be ready for tomorrow. I haven't really looked yet, but you're right about what's their names. Like as a team from the beginning of the season, freaking Philly, they're freaking loaded.
Just their offensive line is so ridiculously good. When you have a top 5 guy at your part of the offensive line at every position, and you've got a quarterback that can run and 3, like Miles Sanders is an average running back, but you have 2 above average backups, maybe even above average Miles Sanders. And then you've got weapons with Goddard, Brown, and Devontae Smith, who just won the Heisman 2 years ago and was awesome. And everybody seems to have forgotten about him, except for you apparently in your lineup last night. Like they're really good. The problem is, do you trust a different game flow where things go a little bit off and just Jalen Hurts is just, I think that he's got a lot of talent. I don't feel the same way about him that I do about like Lamar, where I feel very much more comfortable with Lamar. And I think other people might say differently right at this moment.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is funny. They announced the salaries for the following week before the Monday games or whatever. Boy, Justin Jefferson certainly seems pretty fucking expensive at $9,300 right now.
Yeah. Team keying off of him and everything. But
now, okay, they finally priced Antonio St. Brown where he's he was
the obvious guy early in the year that was mispriced, right? You know who else is? Michael Thomas. He's not in the right matchup. We haven't seen the right matchup for him yet. But Michael Thomas is still getting all the red zone looks, all the targets. This is a guy we were paying $9K for.
You want to know who's going to be chalk? Now, chalk. I mean, it looks like a great play considering he finally, we knew he was going to break out a little bit yesterday. But Adam Thielen's still under $6K.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel a lot worse about Adam Thielen after last night.
Oh, that game is going to be a key game, I think, at 1 o'clock. I don't know. Detroit seems to be like fantasy goldmine right now.
I agree, but I also I feel very concerned that Adam Thielen may have lost a step. I couldn't believe he couldn't get separation at all last night. When we saw, St. Brown and just tear up this team. I know he's the second receiver, but still they were not looking for him. The obvious game for me is this week in football is obvious. I mean, there's the obvious Buffalo, Miami, but if Herbert plays, I will be all over Jacksonville Chargers.
Yeah, that should be
all the money. And I also like the defenses. That's the weird part in that game. You know what I mean? I feel like I could get the Chargers just play in really wonky games. They play in.
I also not sold on the Arizona Rams game. I just have this thought in my head that the Rams just want to play slow. Now it's hard to do that with Arizona.
It's hard for the Rams to do that period because they can't run the ball.
I guess.
I love the Rams, but I feel very, very bad about my Super Bowl. They're going back to the Super Bowl and losing in the Super Bowl prediction.
Well, it's always hard to do that.
But this is a big deal. I think that people underestimate how good Robert Woods was as a second receiver and then how good Odell Beckham was as a second receiver after that.
Meanwhile, this Philly-Washington game could be a good game. I mean, a good
fantasy
game.
For me to see Washington move the ball. It's going to be garbage time points, in my opinion. I just think Philly's much better.
Yeah, I know where the targets are going for Washington. I mean, like this is
Do you? Because Carson Wentz is a weirdo.
I guess so. I was going to say. I think between four guys: McLaurin, Samuel, Dotson, Logan Thomas, and Gibson is definitely the dude.
No, Gibson's in play for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm into Gibson, and I can't believe I'm doing something I promised myself I would not do this whole season. I'm starting. My first build had both two guys who you don't play in fantasy, and it was Miles Sanders and David Montgomery. Although Montgomery had a good year last year.
Montgomery's good.
He's actually good, but the team is not.
No, they're not.
Houston is not either. Although Houston's feisty.
They are.
They're not good though. They're really bad. I mean, we don't know how bad the Colts might actually be without Pittman. Like they might be the worst team in the NFL, or they might actually contend. Like I don't know where the Colts are. I don't understand it. They ruined everything that they had going. In my opinion, they should have done their best to get one more receiver. They upgrade from Wentz, and I still believe that Ryan's an upgrade from Wentz, even as bad as he's looked, which is hard to say at this moment. But it's so funny because people put up these empty stats, and like a friend, a guy who's starting to play more in DFS with his, and I talk to him every week. But from poker, he is upset. He's like, "Oh, Carson Wentz is actually really good." I'm like, "No, these are garbage time points, and they're weird, fluky things. Like, it doesn't just because you're good in fantasy does not mean you're good in real life." I guess that's the point.
That's true.
I don't really have a whole lot to. I needed the Dodger lineup, and that's basically it. Dodgers are still fighting in the first game.
Shows how much I know. I don't even know that they're
just tied. They were down 5-1 in the eighth. They just tied it.
There it is.
They're just so good, man. I'm serious. I don't think people understand.
Well, we got. You know what? Let's. We have. Dude, between the Yankees and the Mets, we got a shot at a World Series game in New York against the Dodgers.
Well, it can't be against the Dodgers for the Mets, obviously, but yeah.
Right. Sorry. Right.
Yeah, no, but unfortunately, I'd feel better about the Mets coming out of the AL than with the Yankees right now.
Well, hold on. So we got to do. You know what? We have other. Yeah, we could do Dodgers Mets too.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe we could do like whatchamacallit. We'll do a home and home or something. We'll do it Dodgers and then a Mets.
I'm just grabbing something real quick. Sorry. All right. Everybody else there is that nobody's asking questions. We went through our top plays. If you have any more, want us to reiterate it or say anything, otherwise we can just talk.
Yeah, I just like to let everybody know in advance to be transparent. There's literally nothing that can happen today that I can come on tomorrow and say, "See, I told you," because I really don't have any big hot takes today. It's not one of those days. I'm playing the chalk pitchers and hoping hoping that one of my Minnesotas get there, or maybe the Yankees or something like that, other than San Francisco and Atlanta. So hopefully, I shouldn't say I don't deserve to win today, but I'm more interested. Not more interested. I would back Bobby's lineups today more than mine, just because of the way mine feel to me for some reason. I like that Bobby's taken a little bit different approach in some of the pitching matchups and whatever. I think that is definitely a better approach than mine. So hopefully for the brand that pans out and Bobby wins, and that'll do it.
Yeah. Got nothing else really to touch on, but I can still stay building lineups, but you can get out of here whenever you want to.
So I won't end the stream.
What?
So I won't click end stream?
Yeah, no, we'll just hang out.
Okay, so I'll just do this.
Oh, you're hiding? Why are you hiding? Oh, no, she thought it's fine.
Go to dinner.
We can end the stream.